Just over 6 minutes now to the start. The course axis is at 125. Currently, at the moment, we've got 14 to 15 knots here. It is a magnificent day out off Valencia today.
Yeah, beautiful day, PJ. It just doesn't get any better. I mean, this is what we came to Valencia for. This is what we told we'd get, and we're certainly getting that today. And I'm pretty confident that these guys are going to be going for the ride. I think when it's so steady like this and the wind speed's up, just so powerful having that right-hand side.
So we're going to have a dogfight. We've seen that really both teams have got what they wanted in really the first 4 starts. So we're coming down now to 20 seconds to the start. It's Giro Lomas on the bow for Emirates Team New Zealand. Peter van Nieuwhoven, who is on the bow for Alinghi. Right down to 10 seconds now to the 5-minute round the ends. Minutes in the signal for round the ends, and coming in from the starboard end, the right-hand side round the bow of the committee boat is Team New Zealand. Meanwhile, coming around the pin end or the port end of the line, it's Alinghi. And immediately they're running deep into the box, and there's plenty of puff to fire them up today. Here comes Alinghi coming up into the dial-up.
Yeah, definitely expect to see a dial up here, PJ. This will be interesting to see if Dean goes straight away or really tries and positions himself back a little. Holding course. Okay, no dial up. There we go. There's a surprise. And straight away, something different we're seeing here, and I like it. I think this is a move. He's really going to try and get control of Ed. And the key here is for Dean to stay unoverlapped. He wants to be able to swing the bow, stay clear, and be right on the back of the Alinghi stern there. So you'll watch here, Alinghi will tack over, and Dean will go straight back on the port, and I think this is a real nice move, PJ.
But Team New Zealand were on starboard. They did have the right.
They were, but you've got to ask yourself, what are we dialing up for? And the whole reason you dial up is to try and get control. Now, we haven't really seen the boat on the right in these dial-ups get the benefit that the dial-up should be giving them. And I like this move. I think it's good. I mean, he's just behind. Ed can't jibe. He can't tack. And I've got, Dean in really, really good control here.
Right, so now on the lead, it is Alinghi, 100. And following them, it is NZL 92, Team New Zealand, as they are coming across towards the committee boat now. So getting very close to the committee boat.
We're coming up to 3 minutes, and this will be interesting. Ed Baird can either try and use the committee boat to get out of this control that Dean's got him under, or we may even see him come over one of these spectator boats, PJ.
All right, now coming up to 2 minutes 50, and they are just going right across the bow of the committee boat now at 2 minutes 40. So they're above the start line at the moment, and they are really coming across towards the spectator craft, coming across towards us. Boy, much further, we'll be able to jump on top of them.
Yeah, PJ, I think Ed's going to look to use that media boat up there to try and get out of this control. Dean's got him on the ropes here. Ed's got to somehow try and get out of this and try and get a start off. But so far, we see him just approaching the media boat now, coming into the shot. He's going to try and split Dean off, and he'll either try and jibe here or tack and get a start off. But I tell you what, we're getting down to 2 minutes now, so he better do it pretty quickly.
And they are right now in the spectator fleet. We're about 100 metres to below these boats now, as they're going around past. I think that's one of the fancy Louis Vuitton boats they're going around now, coming down to 150.
Okay, the key here is for Dean to really try and lock Alinghi into an overlap. Try and get them locked into windward. They've still got time to kill. For me, they've still got to kill around 30 seconds or so for the line. But I'll tell you what, this first part of the start has been all Team New Zealand. Good control from the start from Dean. And let's see what happens in this last minute and a half.
Right, coming down to 9 minutes 20 seconds. That high shot now shows you that they're clear of the spectator fleet. They're just below the committee boat, but they really have got to scrub a lot of time off because they could easily get up to the line very quickly.
Yeah, the key here, Ed Baird, is just trying to run down to that committee boat lay line and get some room so he can start. And Dean's just trying to get him into an overlap, trying to lock him and hold him out of this star line. But I think there's just a little bit too much time to kill here, and I think Alinghi will be able to get a start off.
Right, so it's Team New Zealand. Let's get down to it. It's 47, 46, 45.
This is looking good, PJ. I think the Kiwis could get the jump here. Ed, it all depends on where the lay line is. Okay, he's committed to windward there. Really, really close. Now, is he below the committee boat lay line? That is the question.
And can Dean Barker shut Ed Baird out at 28-27? It looks like Alinghi has got its bow inside the line from the stern of the committee boat as they're winding up now. And this is going to be a key on the start. Down to the final 15 seconds now, and they really are winding up. Alinghi will be up to the right. But down to Leeward and ahead. 5. The start race 5, and it is Team New Zealand down to Leeward and ahead. Both boats further back from the line, and it is Alinghi who is tacking. So both boats back from the line. Alinghi is tacked and is coming across. Now they have got the right, and Jimmy did tell us before the power of the right could be a factor later on, but Team New Zealand have got a super slingshot start out of that.
Yeah, great job, Dean Barker there. Had full control in the first half of the start. Ed, pretty fortunate to be able to get over to the spectator fleet, because if those boats wouldn't have been there, he was really on the ropes. But you saw Team New Zealand, both boats were a little late, but it didn't matter. Team New Zealand had the half boat length jump. They were faster when they hit the line. And the important part is Alinghi had to pay for the ride. They didn't get it for free. It wasn't an even split. They had to pay something for the ride. So now time will tell, is the shift big enough on the right to make up for that initial loss? So Adam Bishel there just calling the puffs onto the boat. Helps the trimmer. The trimmer can't see because he's down to leeward. Probably the wettest part of it there, but that's where Adam Bishel will help him out, call the pressure. And this will be the real test. If Team New Zealand can live their hold all the way out to lay line, they'll be in a good position. If, however, Alinghi starts to gain and is able to come up around their bow because of that right-hand shift, maybe because of boat speed, then the Kiwis will look to tack.
So he'd be on the helm there for Alinghi. Brad Butterworth just standing up, looking around. Juan Vila, an outstanding navigator for Alinghi. Around the world sailor in a Spanish entry. Highly regarded amongst the America's Cup sailing community.
123 crosswind speed.
That's his voice right there.
That's what he was just talking about, Juan Villa there. 123 crosswind. So what that means is you can see them shooting the laser every now and then between the boats. Now that tells tacticians wind direction at 123 we're even for. It means that the boats are bow to bow out of the tack. So they're hoping for 123 or more to be a little ahead. But right now, I mean, looking at this camera shot, I think the Kiwis have done a pretty good job. Initial loss, of course, for the first right shift. But that margin's been hanging around 7-8 metres. And as the whole time this is going, they're getting further and further to the right-hand side. This is a real trial of strength, I think, for the Kiwis. I mean, holding in a tough spot here. The shift is going right. It's going a little against them. But as Kevin's saying now, mode, the way we're sailing the boat, we're just doing just fine, hanging in there. And we see it on the virtual eye. It's been back and forwards, a little to Team New Zealand, a little to Alinghi. But this shot here, PJ, shows a great difference between the mast angle, or what we call a rate. You can see Team New Zealand a little bit further rate, Alinghi a little bit more stood up, and that's all to do with the balance of the boat, the feel the helmsman gets, and just a different way of thinking there between the two boats. So now in the mind of Terry Hutchinson and Dean Barker, they're thinking, you don't want to go right on the lay line just in case it shifts back. You want to tack when you're sure you're over it. And this is what we're seeing now. Kevin Hall said, comfortable line, no problem. Chose to tack. And this will be a gain for the Kiwis.
So Team New Zealand now tack. They're out to the left, Alinghi out to the right. They're above the lay line. So just remember, folks, that high overhead shot with the triangle, and looking to the apex of the triangle, what I was describing was the touch lines, which we call the ley line out on the water, but the touch line keeps moving because of the wind. It's not static, quite obviously, like a football stadium. And now they're on a one-way track to the top mark.
Very good start by New Zealand. They controlled the start and forced the split tack. I guess Alinghi wanted the right and they got it, and both boats headed out here. Then we set up with the opposite of what we had in race 4, with a long drag out on port instead of out on starboard, and the wind shifted through about 5 degrees, giving Alinghi the lead at some stage for a little while when the wind was in the right, but then it shifted back to 117 to the left, and that's why the New Zealanders have been able to hang on past the ley line. So for mine, a little bit of a boat speed edge to Alinghi, but a lot of power with the Kiwis right now.
Still a very, very tight race set. Advantage line at 17 metres.
Right inside 400 metres now, getting very close to the top mark. It's Team New Zealand out to the right, Alinghi out to the left. So there's so many equations, and we'll get Jimmy to go through these. What to do between now and the top mark. What is the maritime game of chess being played at the moment? But these fellas will be thinking around the corner as well, because how are they going to position themselves up? What hoist are they going to do? And which way will they go downhill? This is a hell of a boat race, folks. I asked about 25 questions there, Jimmy. Tick them off.
Well, obviously the boat's approaching the top mark here on starboard tack. So they'll do a tack set. They've got to turn the boat around that mark there. We see it there. Turn to the right, bear away, hoist the asymmetric. Now there's different size sails, but in this condition they'll probably hoist what's called an A3. I don't think we're yet into a spinnaker, but I could be wrong. A3, set up around 14, 16 knots. And what you'll see is Alinghi, because they're behind, they get the wind first. They'll either try and blanket Team New Zealand in front of them with their wind shadow, or look to try and slide inside, thinking about the next move. Because when that next move comes, they'll be driving onto starboard, and that'll be their next opportunity to try and blanket their wind.
So round mark 1, and it is Team New Zealand who are leading, and the clock is ticking against Alinghi. This is race 5, mark 1. And it's 12 seconds. Team New Zealand lead Alinghi. Right. The red Jenica. What have the team aboard Team New Zealand got to do to defend as we look at the hoist coming from Alinghi?
Well, firstly, great set, Team New Zealand. Alinghi a little slow in the set, so already a little jump there. See it there, just getting the sheet caught around him. But I think they just jumped another half a boat length just for the better boat handling. So Team New Zealand now want to try and slide a little to leeward, so a little closer to the middle of the course. So when that time comes and they have to do the move, do the jibe onto starboard, see it on the shot there, they want to be ready to clear their air. Alinghi here, you can see, are just trying to come to the right of our screen. There's a good shot there. Trying to go to below Team New Zealand's line. So when that next jibe comes, I'll try and jibe on top and blanket the spinnaker. A very, very close race there.
So Alinghi now are not only positioning themselves for what's happening at the moment, but they're actually thinking 1 or 2 moves ahead, aren't they?
You always got to think ahead in this game. It's always about 1 or 2 steps ahead, and that's where not only the guys in the back of the boat have to think about it, but the foredeck, the guys in the handles. It's a real team thing. You've got to think about that next step and be ready for it. The bow team there, PJ, setting up what looks to be a backup spinnaker, so we might even see a heel. Looks pretty unstable, that Team New Zealand kite there, doesn't it?
Well, is that part of the reason, though, looking at the shoulders?
Could be.
That the trailing boat might be getting into, and they're not filling it properly. There's a hell of a lot of blokes on the foredeck, I reckon.
Here we go. Okay. Team New Zealand are changing the sail. So what they originally put up may have been for a little bit more wind as they're getting down the bottom of the course, going a little bit lighter. Okay, there we go. Little rip in the spinnaker. Nothing to be concerned about. Should be fine, but the bow team is moving as quick as possible to put up a replacement.
So they've got 3 up on the bow now. So that's Giro Lomas Right out in the boom. Oh, hang on, mate, hang on. One hand for you.
Oh, it's ripped, PJ.
It's ripped, it's ripped. Okay. Major problem for Team New Zealand. Can Alinghi pounce? How quickly can Team New Zealand get out of this? How quickly can they get a replacement up?
All boat speeds. This is where the bow team earn their money. They've got to get that old one down, get the new one up. The new one's hoisted, but you've got to get rid of that old one. Look at it dragging behind in the boat there. Yeah, this is real important stuff. This is
Just
all
cut
down to
it,
crew work.
cut it.
Yeah, get rid of it, get it away from the boat. But look, it's almost going in front of Alinghi. Oh, very mad. Look at Gero on the bow.
Out on the boom.
On the end of the pole, they're trying to hook up the new one.
What are you?
Jeremy Lamas, look at the crazy ride he's got out on the spinning boom. Oh, cut it.
Now, if that hits, this could be a penalty, BJ. I wouldn't be surprised to see a protest flag. Still having trouble getting rid of that old sail. Oh, this is really
Alinghi has
bad
got them. Alinghi's got them. This is a heartbreaker. This is a heartbreaker for Team New Zealand. They were onto it, and then all of a sudden, the spinnaker shredded. And their dreams now are being carted in the water out of Valencia as Alinghi has seized the opportunity. And still Team New Zealand.
They still can't clear that old sail. That's what's giving them all the problems, and it's stopping them setting the new one. And we talk about key moments before. Well, this is obviously the key moment. I mean, what bad luck to have the spinnaker blow up there. We saw the small tear. I actually didn't think that would cause the whole thing to explode like that. But it must have happened in that set.
That is a major problem on such a well-oiled, slick crew. Thousands of hours of training. Out of Valencia in the Hauraki Gulf, and there's a problem getting another one up. It's absolute chaos.
Still can't set this new sail up, PJ. I'm not sure what's wrong. They must have lost one of the lines. I think it was just bad luck. They were setting up the peel to the new sail. Gero went out on the end of the pole, and maybe just as he was about
Here's
to hook
one
up the
coming
new
up
one,
now.
there's a third sail.
But
This is
can't
the
they
third
cut?
sail.
Yeah, it is the third. Yeah, absolutely.
Somehow they've got to get something up and stay in the race. Got to set this one. Oh no, it's got a wrap.
It's got a wrap, absolutely. This is a fatal wound for Team New Zealand after doing so well on the first leg.
The whole time this is happening, Alinghi has their sail up and they're sailing away. Oh, PJ, it's just gone from bad to worse.
It's just gone from bad to a nightmare. This is awful.
I tell you, I mean, a team like this is
They've
so
got a
rare.
wine glass on one that they can't get out. And the other thing is, they've just got to let that other one flailing around go.
Yeah, obviously really frustrating for the guys in the back of the boat here. I mean, they did everything right. Got the start. Boat speed team worked hard. Got to the corner. Great set. Somehow, the chute got a little rip in it. And it must have had it to set. Okay, here comes the wine glass. Finally, that wine glass has come out and they're able to set the sail, but the old one is still up there like a flag.
And that is just costing them dragging.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him just cut the halyard and let it go in the water.
Well, I wonder why they haven't done that some time ago. I do take your point that you could expose yourself to a protest, but... Whew. And meanwhile, Alinghi is out to 150 metres.
Now, that's not normal. We don't usually see that. Well, 3 spinnakers it's taken to get one up.
And it's not normal also from Team New Zealand that are so well oiled, so well trained, so slick. There's Matthew Mason there.
I mean, I think
Now it's coming down.
Yeah,
Finally.
they're just going to drop it in the water, PJ.
Right, for their assessment, let's get back to the team with John.
Well, we've had a bird's eye view of this, Peter and James, and really this has been a disaster right from square one, when we noticed that there was a small hole in the spinnaker that they had hoisted for the first downwind leg. They were looking at a peel. We can see Jeremy Lomas out on the bow now. He was under a bit of pressure there. What happened, Cameron?
Yeah, what happened was they had the second chute ready to go up, the new spinnaker. Giro went out to the end of the pole with the tack of the new spinnaker, and just as he's trying to get the tack attached to the end of the pole, the old spinnaker blew out, and it blew the new spinnaker out of his hands. So they had to hoist the second spinnaker with the tack not attached, and that was the sail that we've just seen dropped in the water. So we see here, that's the original sail ripped in two. And while they're doing this, they actually hoist the second one, but the tack was not attached. So the guys in the back of the boat didn't probably realize that the tack wasn't attached. And it goes up. And as we see here, they go for the hoist. Giro's still trying to get it attached there. And we'll see it come out of his hand.
This was it here, yeah, you could see.
Yeah, so he's still got the second one there, and now he's trying to get it going. They end up hoisting the second spinnaker. He can't hold on to it, obviously, until it's attached, so he has to let go of that. So then we have the second spinnaker up there flagging with no tack, which is the part of the sail that attaches to the pole. Then they had to then go to the process of setting up a third spinnaker. That was the delay in all the time. So we see here, here's the...
And that was done in a hurry, of course.
Yes. You know, this is the third one coming up here. And then that was, done in a bit of a hurry, had a bit of a wine glass in it. And, yeah, very, very unfortunate here. Just one of those that small tear in the spinnaker is so rare that small a tear would make the spinnaker explode like that.
Yeah.
That is for me, that's extremely unlucky for Team New Zealand. And they'll be just gutted right now that, they know that realistically this race is gone for them.
Oh boy, this has been painful to watch, really painful as they're coming to the leeward mark. I've just had a text from a very good friend, and he said, as Steve Waugh said to South African Herschel Gibbs in the 03 World Cup, you've just dropped the World Cup. Providing the point, as Team New Zealand just dropped the America's Cup on that move. Over the next few days will tell, because they were so competitive. As Alinghi rounds the leeward mark, this completes the first lap. There was Alinghi trailing by 12 seconds, but the misfortune, the misadventure to this boat and the heartbreaking move, reviving memories of the problems of 2003, but in a different way with gear problems. We'll round the mark, and Team New Zealand round 26 seconds. But it is Team New Zealand still fighting hard. A huge disappointment. It's an arrow through the heart, but boy, oh boy, they are fighting. There's no doubt about it. And they've proved already on the first beat they're competitive going to windward.
I mean, look, the important part here is what's happened's happened. You can't do anything to change that. Let's get on with the race. And, I've got full confidence those guys will do that. They're a strong team. Just thinking back to that manoeuvre, I'm sure people are sitting at home probably asking, well, why did that happen? Is that a crew error? Is it a bit of bad luck? For me, it's a little bit of bad luck. I mean, they had a great set. Somehow the chute got a little tear on it. Now, they saw this. Straight away, we saw them setting up the new sail, and unfortunately, it just didn't hang in there long enough to get the new one up. The old one's exploded, and the crew did what they could to get it going. But, look, I mean, that was just very, very unfortunate. There's still a few shifts out on the course too, and we saw the weather buoys out there, anything from 123, 117, maybe even a couple of 130s. So, I mean, there's still some shifts, still some gains to be out there. And you see right now that both boats, I think Terry Hutchinson's looking for some separation, trying to find a little something out on the left-hand side to close up that distance. But I almost wondered, by them rounding the other gate, they made a bit of a gain, because initially down the run it was up to, I thought, around 130 metres.
It was.
And now are down
No, the Team New Zealand have made a gain okay.
I think the guys will be fired up. I mean, it's something that's happened. It's not their fault, you know, it's bad luck, and that just makes you fired up, and I think they're going to try and really come back into this race.
They're getting very close to mark number 3. And heading to the finish very soon. 3.3 nautical miles away. That's Peter van Nieuwhuizen, Curtis Blewett on the bow. That's where they're heading to. So around this mark into the 4th and final leg of race 5. So there's the mark getting ready for the hoist. Last time round, Alinghi's hoist could be improved on. We'll see if they do. A lot of talking. I wonder if anyone's listening. Mark 3, here comes the hoist for Alinghi. Leading into the final leg. Team New Zealand trail at Mark 2 by 26 seconds. Much better hoist. Jero Lomas on the bow coming round. It was 26 seconds. It's 24. It's a gain of 2 seconds to Team New Zealand. And of course, Jimmy, to state the obvious, Team New Zealand's inventory of Genicas is limited.
Well, I was just thinking that. I mean, obviously they had to let 2 go in the water. They usually carry quite a few backups, but there is a limit to how many sails you can take. It's a weight limit, and you pretty much split that between your upwind sails, the mainsail and genoas, and obviously your downwind sails. And you know, that's the sort of input you get from the Meteo team. You know, Clouds Batham would be telling the guys what he thinks they'll need, you know, wind speed range throughout the race. But yeah, I mean, that's for sure a risk, and probably why we're seeing Team New Zealand with a spinnaker up and Alinghi with the A-sail. They could be out of asymmetrics.
Well, Team New Zealand made a little gain here again, down to 80 metres. They keep chipping away. They've at least put themselves in a position.
Nice present 10.
And Alinghi will be so wary if it gets any closer than this. They know what Team New Zealand can do, with Ray Davies and Hutchinson watching that weather, calling the shots, because they've, I mean, it was the exciting race which took them to 2-1 ahead.
Oh yes, they'll have those memories still in their head. You know, we're down to 75 metres here for Team New Zealand. They must be on a nice shift coming back here and a nice bit of pressure. Alinghi's still sailing this race quite loose compared to what you may think, but also with the different sails that they have up, they can't really afford to get in a super tight doing a lot of jibes with Team New Zealand. And Team New Zealand have the symmetrical spinnaker they're using versus the asymmetric that Alinghi are using. The symmetrical sail is a lot easier to jibe and will be faster to jibe than the Alinghi sail. So if they keep jibe for jibe with Team New Zealand, they will almost definitely make a loss. But, you know, really good gain here for Team New Zealand now, down to 65 metres. This is less than 2 boat lengths.
Well, we'll have a look at what the body language is like on Alinghi. They're more interested in what lies ahead and the wind coming behind. They know that this gap has closed up as Emirates Team New Zealand 150 metres away from them. It looks as though they're right on their bow there, but the gap is only 60 metres. Not much talk on Alinghi at the moment.
This is some great sailing by Team New Zealand. They've still put themselves basically in the middle of the racetrack. It's possibly a little bit longer on starboard jibe. But Alinghi are going to be really starting to look over their shoulders now as Team New Zealand's taken almost 50 metres out of them down this run so far. We heard them discussing on that second beat. Brad Butterworth wondering if they were sailing. I think he was quite surprised at how much Team New Zealand got back into them at the bottom of that downwind. And he was wondering if they were sailing maybe a little bit slow. So they're not 100% sure of their boat speed. And I think Team New Zealand's really taken them a bit by surprise today.
Well, they certainly matched them, even though Ed Baird said it was only the left-hand pressure that helped Team New Zealand stay in that race in the first leg. Team New Zealand did stay there.
Yeah, but we saw in the second upwind that there was actually a 2-second gain for Team New Zealand, and if Alinghi is a faster boat, you'd expect them in the lead to be able to sail wherever they want. They should be able to extend away and at least put 10 seconds plus on the New Zealanders. You can hear the encouragement coming off the Team New Zealand boat. The boys are really fired up.
This game has closed up again. Now a bit of the pressure goes back on Alinghi. They had pressure on the first, not pressure from the wind, I mean mental and physical pressure on that first beat. And they got the break in the second leg. And now they can almost feel that hot breath of Team New Zealand. 60 metres.
What we can see Pete Van Nieuwenhausen doing there on the bow after each one of these jibes. Yeah, getting very wet when he's coming back in. He's going out and he's putting the lazy sheet or the windward sheet that's not been used while they're sailing down here on this jibe. He's putting it up on a small batten that is attached to the tack of the sail. And that's just putting in a position so when they do jibe, that sheet is clear to run and won't get caught in any strange places during the maneuver. It's just to help them, setting up to help their maneuver for later on.
All right, we're 2/3 of the way down this final leg, and that is not a big margin. There is still an opportunity for Emirates Team New Zealand to take us through to the finish. Peter Montgomery and James Pickle.
So around 700 metres to the finish. The Team New Zealand have really been eroding in. We could hear over here Brad Butterworth express concern off the wind, and we can see why. But are they slow, or is that in this weighted breeze and the sea breeze is Team New Zealand quicker?
There's certainly some positive aspects today for the Kiwis. I mean, the upwind performance, downwind, as we've heard Brad being quite concerned. I mean, obviously opportunities running out now, and I think he's going to take this race, but still some positive things. A lot of people, including myself, certainly surprised at the performance of the boat.
That's the voice of Murray Jones saying let him go. So it's nearly out to 100 metres now. And that's the interesting point, isn't it? When do the crews have confidence in their own ability and what they're up to, rather than being sucked into the cobweb of the trailing boat trying to trap them? So Alinghi now trailing their own race and getting very, very close to the finish. Just around 250 now to the finish. It's been another race for the ages. It's been a race for the wrong reasons for Team New Zealand. It's been a dramatic race 5, a heartbreaker for Team New Zealand after a calamity under Spinnaker on leg 2. Alinghi win race 5 to take the lead in the 32nd America's Cup. But this race will be remembered for the calamity and the crisis Team New Zealand experienced blowing out a Jenica, difficulty hoisting a second one, and being hoist a third, and losing just over 200 metres and finishing well within that distance at the end. And the time clicks off at 19 seconds. And the crew aboard Team New Zealand will be ruing what might have been. How did that happen? How did it get away from us after leading round the first mark? It is Alinghi 3, Team New Zealand 2.